Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Ashton.
How are you both?
Doing well. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us here today as we talk about some very important, frequently asked questions and very important things that you should know as a commercial tenant, and especially about the New York City Commercial Lease Assistance Program. So, Ashna, if you could kick it off. And
Absolutely.
yeah.
Sure. So I guess I'll get started with the program itself. And so the Commercial Lease Assistance Program is a free legal service program for small business owners in all 5 boroughs of New York City. The program lives at Brooklyn Legal Services Corporation A, which is a mouthful, so we go for Brooklyn A for short, or BKA. And while we're based in Brooklyn, we do provide our services across all 5 boroughs. In fact, currently my team is canvassing out here in Queens, which is why I'm at this cafe, kind of acting as home base for them. And we were in the Bronx a couple months ago, and we keep moving around. But, you know, we are here for all small business owners across all 5 boroughs. And to sign up for the process, is you can reach out to Yasmin or Marco, of course, through Wedco, and they can sign you up, as they have for many clients in the Bronx already. And then you'll quickly fill out a 5-minute application, and then within a week, you should be hearing from an attorney. And we can support business owners from anything from 1 or 2 questions about their lease, or 1 or 2 questions in general about what's happening with COVID, and rental arrears and payments. Or if you are in an issue, you needed some negotiation or a review of your full lease, or it's time's coming up for your expiration and you want to renew it, we can do that too. So our attorneys can do everything from answering 1 or 2 questions to negotiating with you for 5, 6 months, a year. Obviously, we hope to not go that long, and the goal is to help you achieve your goals as quickly as possible. But we are here for you once you sign up. And we also have a lot of Know Your Rights materials that Wedco has distributed. And so we're just trying to get the word out on our small business owners knowing their rights, and also knowing that they have an attorney whenever they need one.
Thank you, Ashton. Speaking about the rights, what protections do commercial tenants have under the law?
So currently, now that the eviction moratorium has ended, unfortunately, the only protection is the non-residential tenant harassment protection, which protects our commercial tenants from harassment. But if your entity is corporated, right, and you have your lease signed in your corporation, unfortunately, you are not allowed to represent yourself or your business in court. You need an attorney to do so. However, if you're a sole proprietor and you've signed in your personal, you are, but we also, don't recommend that our clients do that. So it's kind of a catch-22, which is why currently the only protection for small business owners is the Commercial Lease Assistance Program. It is the only guaranteed right to counsel to assist you throughout every stage of the process. And while we can't officially represent you in court as a litigator, we can help you behind the scenes as you navigate that process.
That's great that you brought that up. Could you specify a little what the CLA program can and cannot do for you?
So the Commercial Assistance Program can do anything for you but present themselves in court. So our attorneys can do literally everything but come into court and say, hi, I'm speaking on behalf of XYZ business. They can't do that, but they can equip our businesses to have statements and understand the process, and ghostwrite the process for them to then go and do that themselves, and just help them navigate what the next steps are and hopefully negotiate an out-of-court settlement. Ideally, what our attorneys have done, I think we've dropped about 30 lawsuits already in the last year, since July 1st, which is pretty impressive, and that means there were 30 pending lawsuits that were negotiated out of court, which is exactly what we're here to do. Save our attorneys save business owners on their litigation fees, and they save landlords on their litigation fees as well, right? No one wants to go to court. The better deal is always to settle outside of it, and that's what we're here to do.
Cool. And I guess a question we sometimes get is, what happens if my landlord's already taking me to court? What can I do then?
You should still come seek our services, because we can look and see what the issue is. We can, anytime you get a notice, and this is what I tell all of our business owners, is that if you have a notice, come seek us, right? Because there's a whole process before you actually have to be in court. Landlords are supposed to give you several notices leading up to that. There are processes in between to kind of oppose that motion. And that is all something within the commercial lease assistance program that we can do. So come seek our services. If you have a court case, especially come seek our services. It's not like we don't leave any business owner high and dry, right? They come to us, we give them everything that we can to equip them for that process, and hopefully negotiate out of a settlement, and something else that I really like to make clear is that we don't have to speak to your landlord if you don't want us to, right? And I know that there's a very unique balance between landlord and tenant relationships that have been there for decades, and I completely understand, and we don't want to ruin that balance at all. We just want to make sure that we're making it equitable for our tenants and our business owners.
Thank you. So I think we want to underline that even if you received a notice from your landlord saying you have a court date, please reach out to us. You can still take advantage of this commercial lease assistance program. So please do not hesitate. And I know we're talking about problems that you might be having with your landlord, but let's say I have a commercial lease. It's a long-term lease. I have many years left on it. I have no problems with my landlord. What could CLA do for me?
We can do so much. We can review your lease, especially if nobody has before, right? Say you signed the lease 5-6 years ago. You've had no problems thus far. Like, your landlord is extremely cordial with you, which is great. But what we like to make clear is that there's a professional relationship with your landlord and there's a personal one, right? So personally, your landlord and you can have a great relationship. So you're kind to one another. You're up to date on your rent. But our attorneys could look in your lease and say, hey, actually, your property taxes are a bit high. You shouldn't have to pay this much for the area that you're in. It's not usually precedented that tenants pay this much, X amount, whatever it may be. And something you didn't know or weren't aware of that was being taken advantage of you will become to light and then can be amended going forward, therefore saving you money in the future. Also, we can affirm you, right? If you really believe that you're in a great position, which you probably are, we can just read your lease and say, you know what, you are set to go. And an attorney who is specialized in reading commercial leases and in business practice, right? All of our attorneys are professional attorneys who specialize in public sector legal aspects and are choosing to only work for small business owners. Like, this is what they want to do every day. This is what they're good at. So they can read it and say, actually, this is a pretty good lease. Like, keep it. Let's make sure you renew it. Let's make sure you don't lose it. Let's keep you not just 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and negotiate those sort of deals going forward. So we can affirm all of the positive things that are happening already, or we might find something that's maybe a little bit off, maybe a little bit shady. And we can, make that work for both you and the landlord.
Perfect.
That's amazing. We have a lot of businesses along our corridors that have been long-term tenants, and unfortunately their leases expired. Is the CLA still applicable to them?
Absolutely. We are here for oral leases, written leases, no lease whatsoever, expired leases, soon to expire leases. We are here for any business owner that has a space.
So now that has a space, so what happens if I have a sublease?
Absolutely. That is still very much under the commercial lease assistance program. We help our tenants form subleases. We help see if they have the ability to sublease under their lease with their landlord. We have the ability to help propose a sublease or sign a sublease. We can review any contract, essentially. So even if it's not a lease agreement, but it's a contract of some sort, we can review that too. We are here for anything that is, something that you need a lawyer for in your small business. And if for some reason it is not related under like the hundreds of things we can do, we have a very large pro bono network that we can refer you to our partners. And it's been very successful. We have some clients who want to see if they can file their business bankruptcy or individually file for bankruptcy. And we have both partners in-house at Brooklyn A, as well as external partners that we could then connect you to help you with that aspect as we work towards your commercial lease.
That's wonderful to hear. So the CLA program can provide you with a lot of assistance, even if you think you need help, if you don't need help. So how does a small business owner qualify for this program?
Every single small business owner in New York City is qualified for CLA. You have to be a small business in New York City and non-franchise. So basically, if you have a small business and it's not a Dunkin' Donuts, you qualify for our program. Of course, we wish we could help our franchise establishments. However, we are here for our small business owners who are, the most vulnerable, especially in the last 2 years with the COVID-19 shutdowns and ongoing issues of the pandemic.
Definitely. Thank you so much, because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that small businesses can stay in place, that they have fair leases, that
Absolutely.
they continue to grow and thrive. One quick question, and these are all issues that the CLA program can help you look into, but where should maybe one look? For example, what damages am I or repairs am I responsible for versus what is the landlord responsible for?
Right. So those are all unique to leases. And that's the thing about small business owners that is different than residential tenants, is that there are very few protections outside of that specific agreement between that one tenant in that one space and their landlord. And it's different. A landlord could have 15, 20 spaces that they're renting out, right? And each one of those leases could be different, which is why it's really important that every single small business owner just get their lease reviewed, especially if it hasn't been reviewed before. If you had an attorney review it 10 years ago, amazing, so glad you did that. However, things have changed, and especially now with the pandemic, a lot of things have changed, and our attorneys have been able to work out pandemic-specific clauses to protect our businesses going forward. You know, with a new variant coming along, there may be a shutdown again, and I feel like the pandemic made us realize that we can just never be too protected and too prepared. And so our small business owners are now having leases with our attorneys that protect them in case of these, situations, now that we've experienced it one time and we saw the detriment. So definitely come seek our services. Again, it's just unique to the contract. So if you have a certain repair that you want to fix and you need to know if you should pay for it, if your landlord should pay for it, unfortunately, an attorney would need to read the lease to see exactly what it says, because it's going to be different than the next one and the next one. So it's really important that you come seek our services for that, especially. We do a lot of repairs. And definitely it's different each time around. We're like, one of our small business owners actually gets their money back, and the other one is like, okay, let's change this going forward so it's no longer your responsibility, because it shouldn't be, right? So it's just unique to each business contract.
What happens if I do not have a lease?
Especially come seek our services, because we work with oral leases and unwritten leases. And there are certain precedents that are set in place, and that's where the legal stuff comes in. That's where our attorneys come in and work their magic to kind of interpret and manipulate the situation to kind of, see it in favor of the tenant, and make sure it's equitable between both landlord and tenant. So if you don't have a lease, especially come seek our services, because we have worked with so many businesses who have oral agreements, as is tradition in so many parts of our neighborhoods and our boroughs. So definitely come seek our services, because we can tell you what you can do, and maybe we can get some things in writing for future. Not necessarily a lease, but an email or a note that is signed and stated and written just for that, whether it be for 2 months. We had amendments for just 2 months, rental arrears waived, and then we cite it all again in another 2 months. So it's ongoing. And once you come to CLA once, you're with us for life. Our business owners come back to our attorneys all the time. Some of them have been hanging out. I have heard they've become quite good friends, our attorneys and our tenants. So we're a pretty close-knit group here, and we want to welcome all of our small business owners into it.
Really quickly, what languages, is it only English that you offer services in?
No, we provide services in all languages. So in-house, we have Spanish, Mandarin, Hindi, Urdu, French, and then we use translation services for every other language across the gamut. Our language services are pretty incredible. They work with both of our attorneys as well as our intake staff and program staff. And we have worked with them to set up a curriculum so they are already prepared with all the legal terms that they would need to know in their language, and we do that at the beginning of the year. So we've worked really hard to make it accessible, because we don't want language to be a barrier at all.
Thank you.
Quick questions. What is the process after you apply? Like, how long should businesses be waiting? Will they be getting an email? Will they be getting a phone call?
Absolutely. So once you sign in and you register for our services, we see your name come up. And within 48 hours, our intake staff will contact you by email. And then we usually like to give it 2 days for a person to respond to the email. And then we start cold calling. And we try to make 3 to 4 attempts. Sometimes our intake team is very diligent and they don't want to see anyone left behind. I've had one of our intake team make 10 calls, and finally that client.
Oh, you cut out.
The audio cut out, Ashna. We cannot hear you. I don't know what happened.
Well, she's trying to reconnect. We at WEDCO are trying to help businesses sign up for the program. Are you back, Ashna?
Yes.
I think I'm back.
Yes.
Oh, great. Yes.
Okay, great. So sign up 48 hours, so usually within a week. If it works out where the client is responsive immediately, an attorney will be with them at the end of the week. If it takes 3 or 4 calls, usually 2 weeks. But if we can get the client on the phone within them signing up, it should be less than a week to have an attorney.
That's amazing. what happens in the case that businesses owe back rent, for example? Is there a possibility to negotiate with the landlord?
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's basically all our attorneys have been doing, especially the last 2 years with the pandemic. So many debts owed, so many arrears backed up, and that's where our attorneys come in, and they look at the very specific terms of the lease and see what they can do to interpret it in a way that protects our tenants and make a good case to our landlords that there's been a pandemic, there's been a government shutdown, in the legal terms, and using the power of the law to kind of negotiate those arrears down. And every so often we are awarded some grants. And we were able to we had a pilot program for a grant about $2.5 million that our attorneys took and made to $6.7 million by waiving arrears, legal fees saved. Some of our clients were saved arrears up to $500,000 that they had racked up during the pandemic. So our attorneys are very, very good at what they do. I get to watch it firsthand. It's amazing how they can use their tactics to support the people who need it the most.
Thank you. I think at the end of the day, what we really want to underline is that every small business that is not a franchise located in the 5 boroughs of New York City can access this commercial lease assistance program, which is a free program to help you review your lease, work out any questions you might have about what's in your lease. And even if you think you don't have any questions, they can sit down with you. And because some of these leases, they love the legalese and use these words that no one understands. And they can really sit down with you and help you understand your lease. And just because you don't have a problem today doesn't mean that, God forbid, something happens tomorrow and
exactly
be on the hook for stuff, So it's something that definitely you want to make
absolutely
sure you
no
work
and
out.
we get business owners that come in crisis, and of course that is what we're here for, right? Landlord harassment, or a lease is about to expire, or there's a court notice, all of those things. That's why we're here, for the emergencies. What we emphasize to our clients is that, great, you came to us the day before your court date. I'm so glad we got to you at this time. But had you come to us 6 months ago simply to review your lease, we maybe could have put some protections in place, right? And so, of course, in an emergency situation, I understand that legalese is, honestly, it's the hardest language out there. In any language, so we understand that it's confusing, you don't understand it, and that's what we're here for. That our attorneys have been professionally trained, they've all gone to law school, and this is what they decided to do with it. And all they want is for small business owners to be leveling the play field. It's one business owner at a time that we eventually make a big change, where now all of our small business owners have some sort of right to counsel, an attorney, so that they're never left high and dry in a situation where the landlord has all the benefits. And we really emphasize on making it equitable, because it's not good for either the landlord or the tenant if it's a bad lease, right? Because there'll be there'll be high turnovers, people will leave the space, vice versa. And we want our small business owners to stay in one place and stay there. They are the fabric of our neighborhoods. They are the staple, they're where everybody's hanging out, the local deli, and we want them to stay there. Anytime a small business is closed, it's detrimental to the whole community. And so, one business at a time, we're hoping to make a bigger change in all of our neighborhoods.
I love that. That's wonderful. And thank you, Marco, for dropping in. To get help signing up to be a part of the Commercial Lease Assistance Program, to talk to a lawyer, you can call or text WEDCO at 347-973-0945. If anyone has any questions, you can drop them here in the chat. But again, to reach WEDCO with any help signing up, 347-973-0945. Oh, here's a question. What documents or information do I need to have on hand to sign up for the CLA program?
You don't need any documents to sign up. It's a simple 5-minute registration that is really just gathering some specific information around your business and your lease information. Do you have a lease? Do you not have a lease? Just so we have some preparation before our intake team gets on the phone with you. But that's when all the information comes out. All you really need to be is a small business to get our services. There are no documents required.
Thank you.
That's amazing. And at the point that you're talking with a lawyer, I suppose, and you're finally at that point, and you need to share your lease, can someone just send you pictures? How can they?
Absolutely. We take all sorts of, we take qualities of pictures. Wedco, you have that tablet that's, if someone lives nearby the area or the office, you can scan it. But we've worked with a lot of JPEGs, a lot of iPhone and Android photos, and we get the job done. We make it work. I know some of our attorneys have traveled to meet their clients. That's just how much they care. They get tested, they wear their mask, they go out. We make it work, and we're trying to do more legal clinics, and I believe we'll be doing one soon with Wedco shortly. So that's another way to do it as well, where it's like immediately you sign up and you'll speak to an attorney right then and there. This is especially great if you have a lease already, or if you just have a few questions. And sometimes after a legal clinic, we realize based off those questions or based off the lease review that, we might need to negotiate some stuff if you're open to it. And then you get to be with that attorney for the next, however long it takes. So definitely sign up for Wedco's legal clinic. All of our attorneys will be there, and at the very least, you'll get to meet them and understand the basics of what we do.
So this is the ideal place to plug the webinar that we are hosting next week, Thursday at 6 p.m. It'll be more in-depth, walk you through kind of your rights, the CLA program. So please, if you are a small business owner, if you know a small business owner, again, you gotta own a small business in New York City, you can register for this webinar that's taking place next Thursday, March 10th at 6 p.m. at that's B-I-T, so it's bit.ly/BronxCLA. And you can also just click the link. Thank you, Marco, for dropping it in. You can always click the link in our bio that has the link that'll take you to where to register, as well as like other upcoming webinars and important information for small businesses. And Tuesday, March 15th, we are hosting a virtual legal clinic where small businesses can register for time slots to speak directly with one of BKA's small business lawyers, and you can get an appointment and register for one of the slots again by calling Wedco at 347-973-0945. Tons of info. We have the flyer posted on our page on our Facebook, and again through that link in bio, which is like lnk.bio/SBMA. Thank you, Marco, for dropping all that very important information in the chat. And Marco, other questions that have come up?
We've had a lot of write-in questions, but a lot of them sound like they're very, very specific to the lease itself.
That's
so,
great.
They can sign up. We're going to try to get those people enrolled, talk directly with a lawyer. But thank you so much for all this information, and we hope that people will sign up. If you don't have a business, or if you do have a business, whoever you are, tell your favorite business about this program.
Absolutely. It's so important.
You get free help.
Yeah, if you love the deli and you love the cafe that you're always going to, let them know about our program. We'll ensure that they stay there. That's the goal at the end of the day. Or if it's not a great space for them, we'll find a better one. We're here for all the options, and we really let our clients dictate what it is that they want. When they are on the phone with our intake staff, we always ask, what are your goals? What is it that you want? Do you want to stay in the space? Do you want to leave the space? And then our attorneys work towards that goal. We'll advise you on what we think is the best option, of course. But if that's not what you want, it's completely your choice, and we will help you get what you want.
Awesome. We have one additional question, I guess. What about folks that are looking to open a storefront?
Absolutely. We usually tell them to sign up so that you can speak with an attorney on what you should look for, and then you have our contact information for whenever you do find the space. And then come back to us, we'll review the lease. I have had our clients review 20 leases for a client before they found a space, but they found the best one that was meant for them, right? That was safest and secure for them. And so if you have 5 different spaces you're looking at, try to get a lease to review. We'll do it. If you just want some advice on what to look for, we can let you know that too. So sign up. Definitely sign up if you're looking for a space and you have questions about opening up the storefront.
Thank you so much, Ashna. Thank you so much, BKA. Thank you so much, Marco. And we really encourage you to sign up for the webinar for next Thursday. You can sign up at bit.ly/BronxCLA, CLA in caps. And please reach out 347-973-0945. Text, call, we're here. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day, and we look forward to seeing you next Thursday.
Can't wait. All right. Bye, everyone. Have a great day.